AI expert warns, literally everyone will die. And if you don't believe me, AI expert warns Elon Musk signed letter doesn't go far enough. Says literally everyone on Earth will die. And so I couldn't resist. This is actually a real headline over at Fox News. If you go to their front page, I'm not making it up. They're running their top story. AI expert warns Musk signed letter doesn't go far enough. Says literally everyone will die. And I wanted to share this with you because this is just the reality. There's a lot of media outlets and also on YouTube that will sort of run these crazy headlines, trying to scare you. Everyone's going to die. Everything's going to go to zero. You're going to lose all your money. Your house is burning down, these kind of things. Because really frank, it gets clicks. And this is sort of the world that we live in. And one of the things that I try to do my best with you guys, doing the news every day with you, is to basically actually opposite, keep you calm, because in my opinion, if you are informed and you're educated on said matters, you won't be freaking out. The things that usually freak out people is when they don't understand things. And so this is sort of what I try to do with you and with our community, is help each other understand and have real dialogue about, said issues in the world. So be careful when you read these sort of headlines of the AI is, everyone's going to die. But I do think it's humorous, to be really frank. I do want to talk about a serious issue, though. However, it looks like there is a reporter that was arrested in Russia. You can see the headline: White House condemns Russia's detention of Wall Street Journal reporter. So his name is Evan Gershkovich. And I was looking at this. He's been in Russia since 2017. So this isn't like someone new, over there. It's someone who's experienced. A graduate of Bowdoin College. He even used to write for the Moscow Times. And, Russia, this is what it is. They'll arrest journalists and do whatever they want. And my feeling on this is probably they're looking for some sort of prisoner exchange, right? There's someone that the U.S. has that they want released, and they're looking for Americans to, try to do prisoner swaps. So that would be my guess. I can't tell exactly what Russia's going to do. I'm just guess there. But I am concerned about these things, right? A U.S. citizen held by the Russian state is certainly a problem. One other thing I want to point out, which is a bit odd. This is the lawyer of the American journalist that was arrested, and it's odd. Usually lawyers don't look like this, and so I don't want to make too many jokes of a serious story, but I mean, you guys can see it for yourself. He's got a leather jacket on there and just looks like a rock star. But I don't know. I'm not Russian, and I don't live in Russia, and maybe Russian lawyers, are kind of like this. So it is what it is, though. But I did think that was kind of odd. Regarding the markets, as I mentioned to you several times, and if those new to the channel may not know, the Fed comes out and they say things publicly about what rates are going to go, and this is very controlled. So they're not like loose cannons out spreading misinformation like that. They try to control their message, and basically this is Fed Collins, as she is saying here. She expects one more quarter point rate increase, no cuts throughout the year. That's kind of what they always say here. They can read this. I currently anticipate some modest additional policy tightening and then holding through the end of this year. Like literally, that's what they say over and over again. Now the market seems to be betting differently, but the Fed they hold their sort of talk, or hold the line, I should say. And you could say maybe a Fed funds rate over 5% throughout 2023, but we'll see. I think the problem is if they change their tune suddenly, they'll lose credibility. Although people do joke on this channel that what credibility does the Fed have? And they keep saying that they want their target inflation rate to be 2%. So we'll keep an eye on that. Then, if you go into 2024, 2025, yes, you might have some rate cuts, but we'll see. I just keep you guys informed on these kind of things, and do my best. Again, we're not all going to die. However, the White House is looking to have more strict bank regulations. I'm for bank regulations as well. I don't have any problem with that. This will probably be a political fight with one party. The Democrats want more regulations, and then the Republican Party, their certainly playbook is say, no, we don't need more regulations. We just need to re-elect more Republicans, because the Democrats' fault for why these sort of things happen. And look, it's happening in Democratic states. That'll be the argument that they make. I disagree. I think we need more regulations. And the deregulation push was a few years ago, and that was a bipartisan thing, although it was mostly Republican-led. But yes, there will be a fight on this, and I'll let you guys make up your own mind on these kind of things. Sometimes when you mention politics, people freak out. I try my best to stay calm and just look at facts, and I don't think everyone's going to die. I don't think so. Regarding the Treasury yields, I want to mention this. So this is interesting because the 2-year is still above 4%. The 12-month is at 4.58, and then you got like the 10-year at 3.54. So the curve, the yield curve is still inverted. And also too, I keep getting emails from various banks that I have saying that their savings accounts are like above 4%. So this is something that I think for people out there, like what you do with your money. You put your money in different things. But when you're getting guaranteed 4%, it's hard to put money in risky assets. Although I do understand the market seems to be doing that every now and then, going up and down, up and down, up and down. I'm not seeing it. If the Fed says the rates are going to be elevated for the rest of the year, inflation is still not down where they want it to be, and Treasury looks attractive, the same as savings accounts, which are just no risk. I don't know why people would want to be going, oh my God, I want to buy all stocks all day, every day. But markets be crazy sometimes, and we've gotten a little bit of sort of positive sentiment when Beijing may or may not be, and I say may or not be because the Chinese government changes their mind all the time, but they seem to be a little more positive in Chinese tech. There was an announcement, I didn't mention it yesterday because there's all sorts of stuff going on, but Alibaba is going to be broken up. And I talked about that all throughout last year, that Alibaba most likely going to be broken up. What I didn't see, right? So I was thinking the breakup as being kind of negative, but what I didn't see, the way that they're spinning it in Beijing, is that Alibaba then sort of like after it's broken up, each individual unit will be able to raise more money through IPO or whatever. I don't know, because the reason why I say I don't know is because lately the deal making has been down all throughout the financial sector. So this idea that they can raise new cash, especially in the environment that we're going on, I'm a little bit skeptical of that. But everyone's got to do what they got to do. And also, to be perfectly frank, yes, if you would have bought the bottom of the Chinese stocks back in like November, December, you've done really, really quite well up until now. Goldman called that one right. We talked about it on the channel. I myself was a little bit leery on that. And I always say the same thing for any of these sort of riskier assets. Don't YOLO and just, just manage your risk. Yes, and yes, in hindsight, yes, we all should have YOLO'd, but that's easy to say in hindsight. And that's sort of like say, for example, today Ford, you're like, hey, Chris, where should I YOLO? My answer would be, don't YOLO, manage your risk, right? If you see that you have guaranteed treasury, you have guaranteed savings accounts, right? These kind of things, you put some money in that, and also to pay off debts, these sort of things. I want to go over some more stuff because I think all of these things are related. So we're trying to give you guys a full picture as you can. So like, for example, Morgan Stanley downgrades Charles Schwab. So this is the first time they've ever done that. And they're saying like, they just don't think they're going to make as much money. One thing, and it's sort of why I'm tying this together, is because remember, the China's trying to say, hey, Alibaba's going to make more money because we're going to raise a bunch of cash. But like, you look at another thing where like money's coming out of certain places because people are retreating to safety. So this was saying that this Charles Schwab here, and it's a very popular retail bank, but they're saying people are pulling out money at a rate of $20 billion a month, which is quite a lot. And this coincides with sort of an unfortunate trend happening in the U.S. And I say unfortunate because you can read the headlines here. Small banks are losing to big banks. Their customers are about to feel it. And I want to go and show you guys some charts. We've talked about this before, but the charts sort of illustrate it much more easily to see. So basically, money's coming out, right? So these are deposits coming out of the small banks. That's what the big red line is. And it's going into the large banks. Because basically, when you see the collapse of SVB, right, Silicon Valley Bank, or you see Signature, or you see First Republic having problems, and you're kind of worried and you want to make payroll or you want to do any number of things if you're a small business, you're like, well, what's the advantage of keeping it in the small bank when I think my money could get frozen and create all kinds of problems? Because just imagine if your money's frozen, you can't pay the rent, you can't pay the bills, you can't pay employees. It's a problem. And so people have been moving their money into the bigger banks. And also, too, they've been putting their money into money market accounts. So this is something that's been happening and it's something that hurt Charles Schwab is they weren't offering very good yields on their accounts. So people are like, well, if you're giving me, 0 or 0.1 or whatever you're giving me, and I can move it somewhere else and like just hold cash and get 4%, I'm going to do that. And that's sort of a natural thing that people have been doing. You can take a look at the sort of chart of all the banks. So this is the amount of deposits here. So this is your large banks compared to your small banks. So it looks like a ratio, I would say, just eyeballing it here, 2/3 of deposits are in large and 1/3 in small. So it looks like to me. And I mentioned sort of like the small bank thing as being a concern because if you guys don't know, during the pandemic, I was doing a podcast and it was funny. looking back in hindsight, everything is hindsight is 2020. It's like, YOLOing on Alibaba, hindsight 2020, right? So hindsight 2020, I would have been doing a YouTube more heavily opposed to podcast. But at the time, it was podcasting like the thing to do. And I actually had a couple friends that work in this. So one, his name is Drew, and he is like a lender at I can't remember which bank he works at. He's in South Carolina, but works at a small regional bank in South Carolina. And basically the conversation was how those kind of banks are really vital and important to small businesses. So just for example, I remember the podcast we talked about, say, an auto repair shop, and maybe the auto repair shop wants to, add another bay so they can fix more cars, change more tires, these kind of things. And, for a repair shop to do that, they may not have enough cash on hand. So they go to their local bank, they borrow the money, whatever they need. We'll say they need 300,000 or whatever it is. They build that extra bay, and then they can start generating revenue and, pay said back loan. And this is sort of the lifeblood of American culture. And it's something I've said for a long time. And this would be either party, either Democrats or Republicans, it doesn't matter to me. But if people are like, say, hey, we want to keep small businesses alive, we want to, keep entrepreneurship alive in America, this is something that's important. And so sometimes when you, and I think people, how to say it, they get so politically bent on stuff. And I get frustrated with that because, like, for example, the Silicon Valley Bank thing, yes, there's a lot of corruption over the bank, and I think we need more regulations, but the entrepreneurial spirit of, being able to find money when you need it, to, pursue whatever idea that you want to pursue. And yes, venture capitalism is definitely the wild, wild west, right? Some people lose all their money by investing in some company that completely fails, but then some people are successful. But this is part of the American system. So I don't want to ever give the impression that I'm like against capitalism. It's completely untrue. I think part of what makes America great is people can start their own business and maybe can go from small to being crazy big. And, just take the example of Apple and back when Wozniak and Steve Jobs were building, computers in their garage, that was a real thing, and I think that's something that we should encourage in the country. Or it doesn't even have to be turning to Apple, just having your local auto repair shop and be able to do that. So, one of the things that will change when interest rates go up, it'll be much more difficult for small businesses to get these kind of loans. The banks will not want to take so much risk. Credit markets will freeze this kind of stuff. So I just wanted to put this for a human perspective, right? That this is a real thing. And so Drew and I, we talked about that. And just to give you another perspective, like I have another friend who came on the podcast, like another small business owner. This was another Drew, also in South Carolina. Actually, it's kind of funny. I don't know why. Maybe that's a popular name down there. But they have a sod business, and basically they do grass or sod. I guess a better word to say it's a sod business, but for like stadiums and things like this. And I think they do golf courses as well. But this would be an example of another small business, maybe under 50 employees, this sort of thing. But it gives people jobs. It provides a service to the community. It may not necessarily be something that, how can I say, like a local business sometimes does a better job of knowing the customers and fulfilling needs of local people, right? I'm sure you guys understand what I'm trying to say. I'm a big proponent of small business, but by 100%, I think it's just, like I said, I think it's the lifeblood of the country. This is another one, an example. This was Ryan Cora. And also too, all these guys were probably very different in terms of our political beliefs, and that's fine. And this is something that I wish we have more dialogue of people who are different. And so Ryan, and I mentioned that because I think he'll probably run for office. That's what would be my guess. He was a strongly against the governor in California at the time. So he lives in Orange County, and his business, he was at an event planning kind of business. And what they did was during the pandemic, is a small business. He helped restaurants and other smaller venues sort of build these outside seating capacity, which is really interesting, like tent, et cetera, to basically adapt to the new COVID regulations. So I thought that was a really ingenious way to look at, this is the environment that we're in, this is the adversity that we have, and this is how I'm going to essentially use entrepreneurial spirit to do that. Now, I don't know his cash levels or anything like that, but I'm just saying that in a world where credit market freezes and where regional banks are not going to be so friendly to small businesses, it will be hard for, say, my friends like Drew with the sod business, or my friend Ryan Cora with the the events planning business to succeed. Other types of stuff that he would do, for example, is he would do, just for example, he might get, the Oscars or get the Emmys. I think he did one of the big events before where he'll then handle security and sort of the tents and the sort of setup for the events that are near those kind of events. So if you understand what I'm saying, he's an event planner, and that's a big in LA. And again, this is the lifeblood of the U.S. economy, in my opinion, because if you have, for example, Walmart just buy everything and Amazon just buy everything, you sort of lose the character, what I think makes the U.S. great. So I mention this because it is concerning that the way things are going right now is that many of these large banks are indeed probably going to be buying out the smaller banks, and you're going to get a more consolidation on that front. So we'll keep an eye on these things because I do think it is important. And I also understand from the banking perspective as well, this is certainly a PR piece for regional banks because they ran one in Wall Street Journal, the article I showed you, and it showed literally pictures of bankers and stuff like that saying, hey, what's going on here? Why are you putting all the money in the big banks? Remember that we're part of your community. So we'll probably see changes though. And this is also an unfortunate reality. Moving forward with AI and automation, as we talked about before on the channel, I think some of these kind of jobs may disappear as well. We could just go into a numbers-based system perhaps in banking to where you take out the human element. I do see that as a possibility. I'm not saying good or bad. I'm just saying it's certainly a possibility. But you have to embrace it. It is what it is. This is something that I wanted to bring up as well, but I think it's all related. So Ford, they're going to be raising their prices of the F-150. This is their new EV, and it's interesting because they're raising about like 50%, like really a lot. So before, so now it's like the starting model for the Ford F-150 is like 60 grand. Before they were saying like 40, but now they're saying it's like 60. And then the top end model is going to be like 98. It's like, what the heck? So they purposely priced it just under 100,000. So 60 to 98,000 is the range for the new Lightning. And I mentioned this in conjunction with small business because I know this. Many businesses out there, small businesses, buy these kind of vehicles. These are very, very popular trucks. Moving all kinds of stuff around. They're relatively, relatively affordable. At least they used to be. But then I don't know. These days, I guess there must have been a change somewhere where trucks aren't affordable more. At least when I was a kid, I remember these weren't, at least from my memory, that these weren't ever like this expensive. Unless I'm crazy and maybe every car on the road is now $60,000 to $90,000. You guys can let me know, but it just seems like really expensive. But this is sort of the new world, market that we're in. And do be careful out there because I was looking at this. I was just kind of curious, average car loan interest rates by credit score. So if you are buying one of these new Ford F-150s and you can't pay cash, and my recommendation for these things always is pay cash for a car. I've always said that. But if you can't, like for whatever reason, let's say you're a business and you need to get a loan, etc. So I guess the rates are anywhere from 4.75 on a new car to where if you have a bad credit score, 13.42. And if you're buying used, you're looking at like 6 to 20%. So rates, as you guys can see, matter, especially when you're buying cars of this magnitude. And this goes back to the lending situation as in the past. If you were a small business, you would just get a credit line from your local bank, and you were able to maybe get a little bit better rate to sort of help your business grow, be it buy a new truck, be it create a new auto bay and these kind of things. So anyway, don't worry, not everyone is gonna die. AI is not gonna kill us all, but it doesn't mean that nothing will change. Things will change. That's what happens, as the world progresses, and I want you to stay informed. And so I do my best to share these stories with you and build a community with you guys as well. And I always love to hear your thoughts on these things. So please share your thoughts, as I said. And thanks again for joining us. And I'll catch you in the next video.